Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Online Warriors podcast. I'm your host, Tech, and I am joined with my friends. Guys, say hello.
Do you want me to go first?
Do I not have friends?
You're the special guest, so I was giving you the runway to...
I'm not his friend. I'm going to stay quiet.
No, in no way do I consider myself special, but yeah, I'm back. I'm popping back in. It's your boy Illegal 86 here. Super happy to be back. And for this momentous occasion, Nerdbomber, say hello to the folks at home.
Hello to the folks at home. I have cracked into a high noon for this momentous occasion, and I am drinking a kiwi one, which is a new flavor I've never had before. So it's a big, momentous time all around.
So this episode is not going to cover any of the latest and greatest news because in our household that is the Online Warriors podcast, the latest and greatest news is our farewell song. This episode is going to be covering some of our favorite moments, things we liked about the podcast, things we didn't like about the podcast, and as promised, there may be tears. So
are you guys going to cry?
A couple questions. Well, I have a couple questions about that. I was told prior, and maybe as a gotcha sort of thing, that there was no agenda. It sounded like you maybe have an agenda.
I mean, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I truly enjoyed about this podcast for sure, but I do want it to be 100% freeform.
Well, I have a couple of questions prepared because I had a long drive yesterday.
Was this all you were thinking about?
Aw.
It wasn't, I mean, it was really long. It was like 10 hours. If I had been thinking about this for 10 hours straight, that would have been, dare I say, concerning. But I spent a good chunk of that time reflecting internally and thinking about some of the burning questions that I wanted to ask you guys. And I'll provide my answers as well. I think a couple of them overlap with what you just said, Tactic. Certainly, favorite episode honor moments, regrets if you have them. But then I think I also have some deeper cuts, some things that are going to pertain to, the undeniable fact, which you already mentioned, that this is the last hurrah. But before we get into all of that, I just want to say I'm really happy to be back. Thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. I know I flew the coop, and the coop is as cozy as it's ever been, being here with the two of you. So,
yeah, we're glad
happy to be back.
Man.
I don't know if there's retrospective to be had, but if I could just get the emotional, sappy stuff out of the way up front. For those that do not know the full history of this podcast, I don't know how often we've talked about this, or maybe you guys...
This was one of the things I was hoping to get into, yeah.
Well, maybe you talked about this nonstop in the past few months, but
not really.
This podcast started, it's over 10 years ago now, right? Something like that.
Like we had the old podcast that we used to do, which that was probably 11
right.
or so.
And website and Let's Plays.
So I guess I'm going all the way back to that. And forgive me, listeners who listen to this podcast and not that one, but these two fine folks approached me, I believe is how it went. Like you said, 11. I think it was 11 or 12 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I think it was
it would be
2013.
My memory of it, which my memory should not be trusted, but my general memory of it, the impetus for this was we don't talk much about I guess we do talk about our personal lives on this show, but in terms of big life stuff, in 2014, so 11 years ago, I moved. I had a big move. I flew the coop. We, the three of us, as may have been revealed at one point or another, went to college together. And after we graduated college in 2014, I moved across the country. And I don't know which of your ideas it was, or maybe it was a collective idea. By all means, feel free, one of you, to take credit for it. As a means of staying in touch, the notion was formed that we were going to... I think initially it was do this podcast. It was either do this podcast or I do the website that we did.
I recall it precisely.
I'm glad to hear that. So, the floor is yours.
So going back to the history, Nerdbomber had done the website. It was nerdbomber.com. It was writing blogs, and that kind of just fizzled out with that whole podcast and everything like that.
Well, no, but that podcast, we brought Illegal in because he moved at that point. We were like, hey,
correct.
we were kind of done with the writing aspect of that site, but we're like, hey, man, the person we were doing the podcast with, because the podcast started out of one of our, I'm going to call them staff members and sound pretentious for a second, but one of the staff members of that old site had the idea to start the podcast, and then that kind of fell apart. And we were like, well, I mean, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, I think somewhere along the way, whether it was in the beginning or when this came about, the to me, selfishly, the governing principle of it was this is going to be a good way for us to keep in touch.
Exactly.
And I was the one that was pushing hard to bring it back.
Yeah, well, so when that crumbled for like, I think probably like 6 months-ish, and then we were all just kind of like, hey, so we missed those standing weekly calls, and then we started this back up.
Yeah, and, again, at the risk of getting sappy, emotional, imagine moving across the country and like not knowing a whole lot of folks where you're going. That was deeply meaningful to me. And I don't remember which of you, in my mind, both of you suggested it. So I just wanted to thank you for that. Here we are 10 years later, and it's the rest is history. But
I like to think our listeners feel the same way. That we're just like this very approachable group that makes them feel like there's this community out there. And that's what I'm hoping over the years that we have provided to the world as we continue to say our farewell.
Well, because, I mean, if you think about it, like, one of the big things for me, because, like, obviously I did not move across the country. Obviously. And, it was great that we were able to keep in touch. But I think where I felt a huge impact was, especially during, like, the COVID years, having that weekly standing time where we knew that we could all just get together and talk about, like, normal things that weren't always, like, the big and scary things happening outside, but just, like, being able to, for a few hours, sit together and talk about video games and nonsense that is just fun and happy was great.
There was absolute escapism to it. And certainly, like, thinking about it now, like, there's a very decent chance that the people that are listening to this, first of all, I would think the people that are listening to this are the people that are hopefully, like, the biggest fans of the podcast, that have been listening for a long time. So, like, we may be saying stuff that they already know. Like, I don't know how public we were ever about, like, that kind of being what started this off, or the fact that we had an old podcast or an old website or any of that stuff. But yeah, there was escapism to it. I mean, I will just be honest and say that, like, doing a podcast week over week, and I didn't even have the hard job. I had the easiest job. There were certainly certain weeks where, like, I would be like, I have so much going on in my life. Like, I don't want to take the time to do this. And then I would sit down to do it, and I would find that it was exactly what I needed to be doing.
It's kind of like going to the gym.
And that's what you were getting at. Yeah, yes, exactly. That's a very good way to put it. There was, and something else I think we've talked about a lot is, and it happened today too, is you guys hear the on-air portion of this, which tends to be an hour or so in length. And, in terms of how long these calls typically are, it's at least double that, because there's an hour and a half portion leading up to it that's kind of just us talking about the courtship, talking about stuff that is maybe too personal that we don't want to reveal, or just kind of shooting the breeze, or talk like. And we're going to get into one of the questions I have, by the way. We're going to kind of get into a little bit of that, but hugely beneficial to me, both for the emotional reasons, and I think it allowed me to learn a thing or two about expressing myself. This is going to sound weird, but I swear to you this is true. And hopefully you guys had the same experience. I legitimately think that doing this for as long as we did made me better at public speaking.
Oh my God,
do either of you feel that way?
Literally, like, if there were big presentations I had to give, the fact that, like, and we come into this podcast relatively well-read. Like, we never usually come in completely off the cuff. We've, at bare minimum, watched trailers or something that we're going to talk about. Like, we don't come in completely blind. But I feel like the ability to come in a little bit off the cuff and still sound like you know what you're talking about has been huge. Yeah. Like, there have been presentations that I have literally been able to kind of slap together that I have, like, no notice to give, and I feel like I sound somewhat competent just because even being able to converse with you guys and come up with things off the cuff, it's huge. And, like, when we're together and we're just hanging out, you can kind of sound like an idiot, but when you're recording, you can't sound as big of an idiot as you sometimes want to be. So being able to sound a little bit more polished is a huge skill that I feel like this gave me.
From like a professional career standpoint, I've always been pretty good at thinking about what I'm going to say, but it's always been at the detriment of not taking in the information that's being exchanged while I'm thinking about it. And this podcast gave me the ability to multitask, be able to take in information while still thinking about what I'm going to say, so that I can not only have that intelligent thought come out, but also it's relevant to what is being now talked about, as opposed to me being 6 conversations behind.
And even like aside from talking to you guys, like we've done some fairly big interviews. And
I want to talk about that too.
I do too.
'Cause that's
but like even in terms of like the public speaking element, like we always come in with our list of questions, but you can't just go off of a list. You can't read off of a list because A, that's just not going to sound very fluid. And B, like sometimes you ask a question and the interviewee will answer that, like the next question in their original response. And then you kind of have to scramble to make sure that like you're sounding cohesive and not asking the same thing over and over again. And even that, I feel like, has been hugely beneficial, like being able to just adjust on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys see that kind of stuff, I'm sure, in your daily lives where people ask the same question that's been asked 7 times because they're not paying attention. And you just go, "You're so stupid," to them because they don't have that.
I've seen it. I wouldn't say I've necessarily heard it on other podcasts, but I've seen it in interview shows. You watch clips from talk shows or things like Hot Ones or whatever, and all credit to Sean Evans. Like, I'm not calling him out specifically, but like,
he is a great interview.
You've seen bad interviews. Like, you've seen interviews that kind of go that way, that like someone asks a question, the other person answers the question. There's no rat-a-tat. There's no, the term that was ringing in my head the whole time you guys were talking just now was active listening, right? Like, it's not just, watching the trailers and showing up and talking about it. It's me listening to what you guys are saying and reflecting on what you've said, giving a difference in opinion, agreeing, et cetera, et cetera. And like, that is a hugely important skill, both professionally and personally, that I don't know that I was particularly good at when we started doing this. And I don't know that I'm particularly good now, but I know I'm better at it. Like, I think another thing I wanted to mention, I don't know what podcasts you guys listen to these days. For whatever reason, just based on coincidence or whatever, a couple of the podcasts that I listen to, actually 3 of them, are ending like right around the same time as this one is. And I guess I'll tell you if anyone is curious.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Ear Biscuits with Rhett and Link is ending. It just ended. Get Scared with the guys at Watcher is ending. And The Tripod with the Try Guys. They're all ending. Now, what that says about the podcast economy, I don't think, this is ending for the same reasons that they're ending theirs, but it has given me the opportunity to listen to a lot of their reflections on what the podcasts have meant to them. And I think they're saying a lot of the things that we're saying here, which is like, I think a lot of people listen to podcasts and they think it's just people sitting around having a conversation. There's not very much work that goes into it. And to say nothing of the technical work that, in particular, the 2 of you have put into it over the years. I have not done a lick of editing. I should make that as clear as possible. I think I have in the past. But like, even just the showing up and you kind of have to switch something on, right? Like, I don't think it's as easy as a lot of people think that it is. And that's not to say that it was, super taxing and I was toiling every time I was sitting behind this microphone. But there is a conscious effort that you have to make to make it what you want, whether or not you want it to be super successful or like we were going to hit it big or anything like that. You want it to be something you're proud of. And I am immensely proud of it. I hope you guys are. And, you mentioned the interviews, Tactic, and I'll turn it back over to you to drive this, but I hope we talk about some of those high points at some point here, because for me, certainly the highest point was one of those.
With the interviews, the best part was sometimes they wouldn't always start off as like a back and forth, exciting, energetic interview, but it goes back to those skills that we kind of gathered over time to get people to feel comfortable and then start to extract that information organically. And that kind of really, I felt like, started to liven up as we get progressed into, say, like the first 10 minutes of an interview. And then it gets really exciting. The only thing I never liked about our interviews, and I'm gonna give a big reveal, so like I hope you guys are strapped in, is it was always so weird when I'd be like, "Hello, Jimothy. My name is Tectic," and they'd be like, "What the fuck is a Tectic?" You know what?
So we're going to talk about this.
what?
Like,
You know what? Hold on.
I want to talk
Hold on.
about this too.
My
Yeah.
name is Frank. How do you like them apples?
Wow.
It's
The-
out.
So I was
Big
wondering if this was going to
reveal.
happen.
Damn.
One of the questions that I had was, hang on, let me make sure I'm reading it right. What's something you wish you had said on the air sooner that you held back? I mean, certainly at this point we're done, right? This is it. We have nothing that's really worth holding back at this point, as far as I'm concerned. You just stated your true name. I will meet you, and I will say my true name is Corey. I think that like I want to unpack this because I think that it's probably true. You know, we did go to certain pains for various reasons to conceal our true identities.
I mean,
much
we
like a
purged a
superhero
lot
would.
of the Nerd Bomber content so that you couldn't go down in history when we were using our real names.
I don't know
It is
that we
my-
used our real names during that phase.
There were
either.
some,
I
there were
don't-
some slip ups that we just
Oh.
were like, send it. I deleted those
So-
episodes.
I don't know that it would be particularly hard or would have been particularly hard for anyone who was hellbent on determining our names.
Oh yeah, for sure.
figure
I'm
them
sure some of our listeners know who we are.
Yeah. And that, by the way, that doesn't like, I didn't lose sleep over that. And I'm not going to lose sleep over it now. But like, I think there were certain things, you know, when you do a podcast for 10 years, right? And when you, in particular, when you do a podcast for 10, how do I put this? Tumultuous years,
Tumultuous.
during which there was a global
Oh,
pandemic,
I was going to say, damn, I
multiple
didn't realize this
political,
was tumultuous.
multiple political upheavals, a pandemic, lots of social change, et cetera, et cetera. Without getting into specifics, I will say that like we had various conversations about, okay, what is it okay for us to unveil? What is it okay for us to state as far as opinion goes? And none of those decisions were made lightly, I would say. Some of those decisions were very hard for me to abide by.
For sure.
And I don't think I'm unique in that. I think we would probably all say that. You know, I asked this question, what are things that you wish you had said on the air sooner that you held back? I don't even have a specific answer now. I kind of just wanted to talk about this idea, you know, and maybe we didn't need to do any of that. It felt appropriate at the time, but like we had a bunch of episodes where like something humongous had happened and we felt the need to address it, and we did, but maybe it was perceived by our listeners that we were holding something back. And I guess I would just say that, yeah, we were, and that was intentional. So if you noticed it, good for you. But you know,
I think we did a decent job, though. I feel like you could always parse where we stood on everything without us
Yes.
being super explicit about it.
I think there was certainly a subtle direction in which we pointed. We were not attempting to be over. And by the way, I don't know that it was so much us being like, we don't want to lose a certain portion of the people that listen to us because they believe one thing or another. I think there's also an element of it that was like, hey, people maybe show up to this to like not have an opinion about that
little
sort of stuff
escapism.
shoved in their face. Yeah, like they certainly want to hear, I'm sure, my opinion on this movie trailer, but like they don't really want to hear about my opinion on, you know, the election or like Elon Musk buying Twitter. Like I'm sure we talked about that ad nauseum. I don't remember if we levied any opinions on it or not.
Or like
But
the
like-
latest and greatest war, am I right?
Latest and greatest war, you know, various things like that. And again,
And I mean,
people
I think
who have listened to this show for any amount of time probably are thinking of examples right now of like, oh yeah, I remember this time that like they were very tight-lipped and it was weird. And like, I don't know, sorry. I guess I don't know where I'm going with
well, there
this,
was
but,
also like an element of like internet safety,
And
as
also
well.
stay in your lane. We're a nerd news
Well,
podcast.
I don't know if
True.
I necessarily agree that everyone has to always stay in their lane, but like, let's be real, there is an element of like internet safety.
Yeah, I think both things are true. Like, I think there were certain lanes that I definitely felt qualified to be in that I stayed out of for, I guess I'll use the term safety reasons. But there were lanes that I was like, all right, I'm just like, I have an opinion on this, but like, I'm not super qualified. And also like, I don't want to start like a flame war online about it because I would probably lose and like, that wouldn't be fun. Like there were certain things like that for sure. But on the topic of names, to bring it back a little bit, another one of my questions was if you had to pick another name, another podcast name, besides Tactic, besides Nerd Bomber, besides Illegal.
Like
Off the
alias
cuff.
or like the name of the podcast?
Well, I was actually going to ask both, but let's do alias first.
I think I would have picked like
And again-
a human name. Like if I had to
So
do an
you'd pick,
alias,
like
I
a
think
fake name.
I would have just done like a like the equivalent of a pen name for an author. I would have had just like a regular human alias.
Same. I would have been something real similar, like Fred.
I would have see, that's confusing to me though.
Yeah, that
Like,
would have
I
been
don't
also
know.
very
If-
confusing. I don't know.
If you would have said call me Fred, I would have gotten it wrong episode 1. Like they sound too similar and it wouldn't have worked out. Like I guess I maybe would have picked a human name of like some super obscure movie director from like the 1800s. Like I would have made it a wink at something. Like I would have probably spent, weeks thinking about it and like thought of something that I thought was really clever.
Theobon.
But instead, I don't even remember how I came up with the name that I used.
Well, your
I
name-
truly have no idea.
Didn't you say it was like your elementary school like screen name or something like that?
No, I
Now you're
think I
giving up
stole
all
it.
this information.
No, like I don't know. AOL
no,
doesn't even exist. AIM's not a thing anymore. Relax.
If memory serves, I stole it, and I'm proud of that. And the
And
the
that
name
illegal, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. And the person who I stole it from may or may not be listening and knows that I stole it from them. So thanks, buddy. I don't know. So you pick human names.
Yeah, I mean,
going
at
with
least
Fred?
even if I didn't pick a human name, I think I would have at least picked not the name of the website that I started because that was hella confusing back in that era. That was not my wisest decision.
Or Gavin.
Gavin.
The website that's down, right? Like it's like
Oh yeah, that website
people can't
is.
go there now.
No, I don't think so. It might be on like the Internet Archives. I'm not really sure. But yeah, the website
Someone's about
itself
to hop
is
in the Wayback
is-
Machine.
Yeah, like the Wayback Machine, it might exist on there. But yeah, the website itself has been defunct for a long time.
Well, if anyone wants to go and read articles from
Now I'm really curious if the
2014
Wayback
where I was
Machine
where I
is
was
on
trying to
there.
find my voice and failing, you're welcome to, I guess, because I should be pretty easy to pick out if you can find the website. The name of the show.
That one's
Now,
easy.
I will say, the name of the show, I know for a fact I did not come up with. Again, I was almost certainly one of you guys. You're saying that's easy.
1,000% I would pivot to the podcast pals.
So
1,000%.
Podcast Pals is my answer too, but I also how is that not taken? That has to be taken at this point. Like maybe at the time it wasn't, but at the time, like now, there's got to be one that's called that, right? I haven't looked, but like for those that do not know, Podcast Pals was
ChatGPT.
we asked.
No.
Was it a secret segment or was it?
Oh
an
yeah,
actual
that was
on-air-
a secret segment. It was the ChatGPT secret segment.
It was ChatGPT. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was ChatGPT. We asked ChatGPT to write us a script for a show.
And that's why we say
About-
now stay safe and keep on podcasting.
Yeah,
it makes
'cause-
no sense.
Yeah,
yeah,
ChatGPT definitely did not.
yeah. Which, by the way, that was like, I don't want to say I'm not proud of that, but like the ChatGPT, that was like early ChatGPT. where,
Yeah,
like,
in retrospect,
I think I maybe
like,
didn't have a super good understanding of how bad it was to be using AI. And I was just like, this is hilarious. And there are many, like Midjourney, Dolly, like I did all that stuff.
we were really hard on Dolly. Like that was integrated into like again, this is before we knew it was bad, but I just know on our
Yeah.
Discord, like we were going hard on Dolly.
That I am specifically not proud of. The ChatGPT stuff, whatever, but like my use of Dolly and Midjourney when it was like early going, I was beating the crap out of that thing. Probably, making art that's now like showing up on book covers or something. So not super proud of that, but it happened. And I got to live with that, baby. Podcast Pals, alternate name of the show. I'm monopolizing here. I have other questions, but I just rattled through a few of them. I mean, what was your guy? Let's talk favorite moment. Like,
So
Tactic. What sticks out to you?
it's obvious to me. My favorite moment is going to be surrounded by the interviews. And I can't really even say one particular moment because we've had rock stars on the show that like, why are you gracing us with your presence? We were so grateful of these people to give us the time. And so we've had rock stars, we've had game developers, we've had like
Composer.
Actors,
composers,
Yeah.
actors, it every time we had one of these interviews, it just felt absolutely surreal. And it always made me like just feel absolutely reassured in what is this life, that at the end of the day, I don't care if you're famous or super talented, we're all human beings on this
You can
earth.
talk to somebody.
trying to just figure it all out. And like, that was both surreal and also humbling. And just every time I felt very, very good after each and every interview because of that fact. I mean, going like, even like, to put a star on the game development side of it, right? These people have become now some people that I now reach out to asking some questions here and there, like, hey, you know, how did you do this? What do you think about promoting this? How am I doing personally? You know, and everyone is friendly in the community that is the world. And I'm just so humbled by that, and just, I love it. And for even me personally, I do want to say this, you know, we're done with the podcast, but if anyone ever wants to have me on their show to be an extra voice or interview or whatever, I'm happy to hop on and give my 2 cents.
I think what was also super surreal for me, because like I was a lot of the behind the scenes orchestration of setting these interviews up and getting in touch with people. And like there were a couple times when I would just email someone complete shot in the dark. And like, to be clear, there were also some people who reached out to us, which I thought was super cool, because like, who the fuck are we, honestly? Like, I know we've been doing this for 8 years, but it always just kind of felt like, wow, I'm flattered, like super excited. But like throwing a shot in the dark out there, like Greg Edmondson, I think he was the first
this is
one.
who I was going to bring up.
He was our first interview. And like, I literally just sent a cold call email and he responded fairly quickly. And I was just like, oh, because I just wasn't expecting it. I was just like, like this will be a shot in the dark and I fully expect nothing to come of this. And then it did. And that kind of started the ball rolling on all of the interviews and was just super surreal.
And it happened, like you said, it happened a few times. Like for me, certainly, like Tactic, you were very gracious, not wanting to call out any specific interviews. But like for me, Greg Edmondson, you know, he was the first one I think we did, like you said. And like as a movie score person, like that is like, as listeners will know, a huge part of like literally my personality. Like it was so surreal. He was a joy to talk to. I would encourage you to go listen to the episode if you haven't, because like he's a great interview. He was a great interview for someone who was doing interviews for the first time, because like you said, I remember having questions written down, like sweaty palming it, like just being like, oh my God, like this is an important person. And he was very, very down to earth. I think he understood what we were trying to do. And I think he understood how excited we were about it, and just met us with this energy that was,
oh dude,
unforgettable.
You missed probably the most badass interview. I don't remember what the conflict was, but we had the front woman of Winona Fighter on the show, and like literally a rock star that we've seen perform live on a massive stage. Like this isn't like a small time thing. This is a big deal. And she was just the kindest, but also most badass person I have ever met in my life. I will say it was my favorite interview. She was just awesome. Like, please, if you haven't listened to this show, this interview, it was just so good. And then like, you can even tell, I'm going to shout out Nerdbound real quick. She was smitten because
I was smitten.
Yeah, you were a little awkward.
I was definitely a little awkward. I'm not gonna lie. We had literally,
you were excited.
2 weeks before the interview, we had literally seen them live, and I was just like, "This is crazy."
Yeah, it is what, and it's again. I think we interviewed. I'm sorry to this person. I cannot remember your name now. We also interviewed someone who was on Doom Patrol, I believe.
Oh yeah, Stephanie Chakowski.
Yeah,
like we were interviewing people who were like, for lack of a better term, doing like real thing. Like we're just some hipster doofuses doing a podcast, right? Like we want to talk to these people about their experiences because we're genuinely interested in them and want to hear about their life experience. And like these people are like taking time away from like filming a show or like performing on stage to like talk to us. Like it felt like surreal is the best possible word for it. And the other thing I would say that one or both of you already mentioned is also like having the ability to guest on other shows was really awesome. Like I think I did it a couple of times, and like it was always fun because, you know, for all of what we've talked about here of like there's stresses and pressures, and you know, when you show up and get on the mic, you want to be on, and like all of that is still true when you guest on a show, but you also have a little bit less responsibility. So like it was very purely fun to like go on a podcast about Stephen King and talk about Stephen King. Like it's just me talking about one of my interests. And again, I'm not an expert in it, but like it was great. So thanks to all those people, we've had a lot of interactions with both, people of minor celebrity and like game developers and all these people we interview, but also a lot of different podcasts. We've done ad swaps and all that stuff. Like it's a really
Athletic
great
Greens.
community.
Oh my God.
Athletic Greens was a company, but yes, we've also been lucky enough to, have a number of supporters who would do guest spots on the show and would say things like, man, your ad read of that Athletic Greens ad is spellbinding, because I had to do that a few times. And like we did, is this a safe space to talk about the contest that we entered that we did not win?
Oh my God. Yeah. What was it popcorn?
It was for Honey.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Everyone listening, the internet company Honey, they have like this browser plugin thing that saves you money. I don't even remember. They did this huge sweeping contest of like podcasters put together an ad for Honey and submit it to us, and we will pick the best ones.
The winner was
gets like
incredibly
a bunch of
mid.
podcast equipment or something.
Yeah,
And
it was a bunch of
we
podcast
worked
equipment, and also like I think they were
a
going
bunch of money.
Yeah, a bunch of money and equipment, which at the time, so right now, like our rig is pretty decent. Like we have a pod track, like we have boom mics, like we look relatively put together. But I think at the time that we did this ad read, like we had better microphones, but like we were super janky. Like we were using a mixer for like instruments because it was the cheapest thing we could get. Like it was not meant for podcasting at all. I think our software was really janky. Like everything was janky.
Yeah, so like we worked pretty hard, like on putting together a script for this thing and doing a bunch of takes, and like there was a point where we realized like we were following the rules very, like that's the one thing I remember. We were following the rules very, very carefully.
Yeah, didn't the winner not technically follow the rules?
Yeah,
the winner
and it
did not follow the rules.
Shit out of me because our script for that was so good. I don't even remember it. I just remember it was funny. It was punchy. It was great.
It was workshopped to within an inch of its life. Like we cared so much about it and worked so hard on it. And like I remember specifically, one of the rules was you can't talk about any branded products. And we had a joke in it that was it was about putting honey, like actual like physical honey, on a slip and slide. And so we had that joke in the script. And then I think we recorded all of it and stuff. And then like before we submitted it, we learned like, oh shit, we can't do that because that is a brand. Slip and slide is a branded, like Whammo makes it or something. It's like a branded product. So we had to change the line. And like, this is all stuff that like, again, we were like micromanaging, like taking these minuscule details. And then like, I'm almost positive, like you said, didn't the winner mention a branded product?
They dropped like 3 different brands. Like it didn't even sound polished.
They were like, I spilled honey on my Levi's. Better go run to my Nike shoes to clean it off.
Yeah, like it was, and so that was definitely, I guess I don't want to call that a low light because like it was fun doing that whole thing, but like it was kind of a low light because like we worked really hard on it and then like we submitted it and like I remember we were so dialed into that, like we
listened to the others. We're like, oh, we fucking got this in the bag.
And then we did not.
Yeah, we felt pretty good about it, and then it didn't work out.
I will say, though, we did have a lot of ad reads over the years. Like Athletic Greens, I'm going to drop a secret bomb on everybody. None of us ever drank Athletic Greens. We drank a lot of other weird plant and protein shakes, but not that one. Though I did have friends who did drink it, and they liked it. But like we had like a bunch of rotating brands that we would shout out week over week for like, there was a period of time where before the Patreon, and like, I guess this should also be a giant thank you to everybody who supported us on Patreon, because like with that and the support that you guys showed there, we were able to stop stressing about all of the random ad reads because they were for products. Like we tried to do things that we at least didn't disbelieve in. Like we tried to pick products that were not harmful or like services that we knew were not just like,
are you having erectile dysfunction?
Right. Like we didn't
take speed.
When we were filtering through stuff, we never wanted to feel inauthentic, but like there was a lot of stuff that we were just reading to read, guys. I got to be totally honest.
Yeah, I mean,
that was not
like, I'm sure Athletic Greens is a fine product, but like if you listen to this show for any length of time and know anything about my dietary and general life habits and think that I was drinking Athletic Greens, then boy howdy, I have a bridge to sell you. Like it's just not my way. But yeah, we did a lot of ad reads for Podbean. That was another one, I think, but I could be wrong.
We did
about
use
that.
them. We did use Podbean. We do actively use Podbean, so like they were fine.
There were a bunch. There was a revolving door, but yeah, where I was actually going with this was the Patreon producers, because like you said, that was a huge turning point. It was great to have them on the show. One of them ultimately went on to make their own podcast. Like, it's in a world of podcasts. Like I think when we started this in 2014 or whenever, like don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were a lot of podcasts. There probably weren't as many as there are now. Like, I think you could argue that podcasting is an oversaturated market. With that said, one of the things I want to leave people with if they listen to this is like, if you have some friends and you're like thinking about doing this, my goodness, please at least try it, because like you might try it and it might not work out. Like, I'm not going to rule out that possibility. And I'm also saying this as someone who, again, if I haven't already mentioned, like, did not even close to the lion's share of the work. Like, there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that Nerd Bomber did that was already mentioned. Tactic in particular in the back half was doing basically all of the editing. Like, I kind of just showed up and drove the bus, but like often ran over speed bumps and children and all these other things. Like, it wasn't good driving. But like, if you are thinking about trying it, try it, because you might find that you love it. And I don't know. I still like in so much as it's an oversaturated market, I like listening to podcasts. There are so many worse things you could do with your time than this. So yeah, I love Greg Edmondson. I love the Patreon producers. I think that's all my questions that I had. So that's it for my discussion topics. Tactic, I'll turn it back over to you, because again, I feel like I asked all my questions and didn't let you ask any.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've touched on the things that I've loved, which was the interviews. You've touched on the things that I've hated, i.e. my name, as well as the editing.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even...
Wait, so you hated your name?
Yeah,
This is news to
like
me.
I said, I always felt awkward about it. Like, I don't know, especially when I'm meeting new people, I just wanted, because then it's like, it's easier to fill out the backstage passes. You know what I mean?
I loved the tech tips. That was a phase on the show. We had there were a lot of seasons.
We
there
did.
Were a lot
I mean,
of seasons on
oh
the show.
god,
Trivia.
Price is
Did a lot
Right.
of trivia.
There was something that came
Yeah, I
before
mean-
trivia. What came before the trivia? Because there were things before that. I don't remember what it was. We had like
So there absolutely were.
the ending segments
remember what they were.
all like rotational things, because it started with the tech tips, I think. Then
Yeah, we've reinvented it a few
Yeah.
times. Of this, I'm certain. I honest to God, like, this is not me putting on. Like in particular, the rhythm that we settled into for a good number of years was like, we would show up, we would, start the record. On the air, we would shoot the breeze. One of us would talk about something that happened, or like state an opinion on something that just happens in everyday life. Then we would get into news, and then we would get into the quiz. And God is my witness, my favorite part was always the first part.
Well,
I just loved the off the cuff shooting the breeze, and so much of that was like, some of this is engineered, but a lot of this was not, and a lot of that front matter was just, it was, you got us like that, and I'm again immensely proud of that.
I actually low-key, I mean, there were a lot of seasons, by the way, where I lost. I low-key hated the hosting the trivia. So like, losing was always peak. Well, because
So this was always your plan. is what
You'd
you're saying.
have like a long day at work, right? You'd be researching all the topics, and then you'd be like, okay, I'm ready for this episode. Oh wait, I need to put together 5 fucking questions. And then you're
Yeah.
yeah.
The
And they
really
all have to be
interesting ones,
numerical.
too.
That was the tough part, I think, because it was Price is Right style, which I don't know another way that you could have really done it and been like fair, especially when we had other people jump into the mix, like when the Patreon producers are on. But finding numerical answers about some of these topics was so hard.
Well, and it was always like, it wasn't always, but like, there would be certain times where, because we left the quiz topic up to the Patreon producers, and by the way, they would get a poll on Patreon, and the options for this poll, I believe every time, were curated by Nerd Bomber. And
yeah, and sometimes I
a
would
lot
just
of-
be pulling stuff out of my ass because I would be like, oh no.
a lot of these options would be
The
like
history of the
what is-
brick.
it would literally be like, what is Nerd Bomber thinking about today? Or
Do you wanna
or more
know- do you wanna
specifically,
know what
what
I
is
did?
Nerd Bomber thinking about in this exact instance?
Do you want to know what I
Of
did
time.
sometimes? I would go to Wikipedia, and do you know the I'm feeling lucky button? I would hit that,
Yeah.
and that would be one of the topics.
Well, and like Tactic was saying, then, it would be like, all right, I'm making the quiz tonight. I have 2 minutes to put together 5 questions. And the topic would be like types of ferns or something. I would be like, I can't do this. Like, I can't, is this show business? I can't do it. So that was brutal. But I was also like, I don't remember any of it now, but at the time, I learned a lot of things from those quizzes.
My
I
favorite
learned a lot of things.
My favorite trivia to make up was like the recap trivia, where you'd re-ask
Oh, yeah.
questions that were asked throughout the year. And it was easy. The questions existed.
I never did
was-
that because it was usually like me and Illegal down at the.
Well, it was
Library.
only something that I did whenever, and since I didn't win much, it didn't happen that often. But it would have
Now-
happened more.
I will say, the quiz forced me to watch the Book of Boba Fett, which, for my money, is one of the worst shows I've ever watched in my life.
We never watched.
It also forced me to watch Hawkeye, which was not bad.
Okay,
I will say that Hawkeye was not bad.
it's a
and I did
great
watch
Christmas show. It, like as a standalone, forget the rest of the MCU. Like it's basically like watching Die Hard, but MCUified.
It was enjoyable. Book of Boba Fett was like jabbing myself in the eye with a fork every time I watched it. Can't recommend not watching that show enough. It was terrible.
Oh, I just had a brain pop. One of the other things that we did, and this is like early days because this stopped during COVID for obvious reasons. Remember Fantasy Movie League?
Fantasy Movie League was great. I really liked that. I think I was just god awful at it, but it was fun. It was really fun. I don't remember how, like, who won? Like, I know it
don't
wasn't
remember
me.
who won. We did it for like multiple years, I thought. And then 2020 hit and obviously movie theaters closed. So like they stopped doing it. And I think the site went away, but it was fun. That was what I think preceded the quiz. And then we scrambled when that went away to find something to fill in the blanks.
And I think this was probably back in the pre-Online Warriors days when we were first podcasting. Something that we probably could have done again that we never did. Do you guys remember in the first podcast when we did book club?
Oh yeah, I talked about it.
We only did it once.
I read The Martian.
That was so
that.
good.
We read
love
The Martian,
book club.
which again, this would have been back in 2014, and like couldn't think of a better book to read for that because it was just like a bunch of nerds sitting around talking about one of the nerdiest books of all time.
I did kind of resent that group because everyone was like, "You didn't read this. You can't read."
What do you mean? It was
No
the
one
three of us.
believed. No, but nobody believed me that I actually finished the book.
I literally watched you read it every night before bed.
There's a chance that I said that.
Someone said it.
I don't remember it. I can't rule it out because I don't remember it. It was 10 years ago. I flushed that. That was fun. We never did that on Online Warriors. I don't know if we would have ever agreed on a book to read. I guess we could have read you
I
guys
feel like we have a
ultimately got
lot
me
of
to read Murderbot.
overlapping interests in books.
I liked the Twitch streaming. That was the cool part of it. I remember I played through the entire Deadpool game live.
I struggled with that. I know, and this actually does exist on the Online Warriors side of things, aside from like your tech videos. I think I tried to stream, oh my God, it was a Blair Witch Project, and I got so scared. I did
Just
one
a lot of
episode.
eeps.
Yeah, I did one episode, and I was like, this is horrible. I'm never doing this again.
This does bring me in mind of an interesting additional topic about kind of overarching with this whole experience, which is, and I think there were, for me at least, there were phases in and out of like actively trying to get the podcast to quote unquote blow up, right? And like become a big thing and like, you know, fame and fortune and all that stuff. I cannot stress enough to you, and like Nerd Bomber, I have to imagine you feel this way about it. Like that, it feels so arbitrary. Like we post videos on YouTube, and like, you know, we look in on the views on those things. And do you guys remember that we had one episode about, I think it was D23?
Oh my God, that
like,
thing blew up. I don't know why.
out of nowhere got thousands of views, and we were like, we don't know what we did. We didn't do anything different. We covered a, you know, relatively current kind of convention style event like we do most weeks. And for whatever reason, this one went viral on YouTube. Like it's a little bit like fumbling around in a dark room. Like I think there were certain things that we did great. There were certain things that I felt like were very original and they didn't really take off. So another
This is gonna
word of
sound-
advice to the podcasters is maybe don't go in seeking that.
I mean, you
because
know
you'll
what?
just be
You know what?
disappointed.
The most viewed Online Warriors video.
Oh, it's
is.
all your
I
stuff.
was wondering
Tinkering
if
with
you were going to
Tactic.
bring this up.
Make your
Yeah.
own AR
You just-
heads-up display, baby.
How many views is that
You-
at now?
10,000.
You deserve all your flowers. Was it the old? This was again. I'm sorry. We can cut this out because this is referencing the old site. But your slip ring video, was that the old website?
Oh my god, that was the old
slip ring
website.
was popping. See, guys, just give me my flowers.
You were the-
I'm carrying.
I was like, this is the most famous person on the internet.
I
He
mean,
made this video of a slip ring that was like 3 seconds long, had no sound.
the top 4 videos is my content.
Tinkering
Yeah.
with Tactic, like that was a big deal for a while there. You were going
It did
hard.
numbers.
Literally, like we have
D23 is the 5th one. I don't know why.
so in our recording studio, we have like the flag backdrop, and we have these like uplights, and we have the like soundproofing pads that are like hexagons that look neat next to the flag. And we literally built that specifically for Tinkering with Tactic videos because you wanted a backdrop. Like you got really into that for like a year, and then
And it paid off.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos were well populated because
I mean,
you were
we should
like,
keep the
you know,
YouTube channel alive. I'll still,
Yeah, I'm
if
not
I ever
gonna get
tinker
rid of
with
it.
some more tactic, I'll throw it up there.
my like secret, when the secret segment, or not the secret segment, when the vlog was assigned to me, I would be like, I'm going to tell some dumb story or like rank my 4 favorite somethings. And like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed doing that, but like, it was never going to get the traction that like, Tactic was always like, I'm going to show you how to build this thing. And so people that were interested in learning how to build a thing could go and watch it, which like draws foot traffic and like, you know.
But I don't
those videos.
like sometimes it would be like the most random like chip set, and I'd be like, hey, this is how this chip works, and like that even has 800 views. Like I it's so random to me how it works. But
Yeah. And I guess I'm mostly talking about like the YouTube end of it. Like, I think in terms of like our listener count and like our popularity on the podcast streaming platforms, like I think correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't tracking the metrics as closely as I think either of you were, like we kind of plateaued at one point and stayed plateaued for like, it was consistent. Like it didn't feel as arbitrary there. YouTube felt arbitrary. YouTube, it was like what the algorithm is algorithming really hard, which you hear all the time from like the people who are actually making money from doing it. They're like, this is impossible because it's, you know, the ghost in the machine is doing all this stuff.
I want to pivot a different direction, and this is going to be a little
Please.
bit putting you guys on the spot.
okay.
So
Love
we're
it.
wrapping up the Online Warriors podcast, putting a little bow on it of sorts.
Mhm.
What is next for the podcast, pals?
Oh, I'll go first. I think I probably said at the time that I initially departed that I was hoping to work on writing something, and I haven't made a whole lot of headway with that, if I'm being perfectly honest, but that remains the goal. The goal for me is to, I mean, first and foremost, find a outlet like this that is similar, but also like these 2 guys who are with me here know that I've wanted to do that for a long, long time. And like, I think I've constantly been setting expectations for myself that are maybe too high. You know, I kind of just talked about that with the podcast, but like, I think every time I sit down to write something, it needs to be perfect and, you know, not needing any edits, and it needs to be a feature length something that I can immediately just ship out. And like, anyone who has done anything creatively who is listening to this knows it doesn't work like that. And I should know that too, because I've done creative things before. But
Have you used
Yeah, that
any of
remains the
those
goal.
like author tools where it's like you fill out the plot and you storyboard it? And
so I've used a couple of different softwares. I was using Plot Factory for a while, which I don't know if that's still going on. I believe
okay,
Plot
one or both of you
Factory?
pointed me to that.
Plot Factory was really good for a while,
It's
but then
down.
I think the founder is in jail for something.
I do think it's down.
and
if you
it's
didn't
down
back
now.
up your books, I am so sorry for your loss.
I mean, I
I
had it auto backing up because you could connect it to like a Gmail account. So,
That's what I did.
but
too.
I moved off of that platform. I'm a big novel.
Yeah,
now.
I was noodling on there. I mean, gosh, I can just go into my applications folder on my computer right now and tell you. I mean, I currently have Highland 2 downloaded, which is like for screenwriting. It's an application that allows you to storyboard and do all this stuff. Another one that's not on here right now, I believe, was called FreeMind, and that was like, again, kind of like storyboardy. So like, yeah, I've noodled with a lot of that stuff, and a lot of it is super useful. I just kind of need to be diligent about taking time out of either every day or like on a weekly basis to just flex the muscle, right? Like just sit down and write 1,000 words. And it doesn't have to be 1,000 words that's even like a book that I'm working on. It just needs to be writing about something. And like I had a stretch of time during the time of the podcast, and like I know for a fact I was talking to you guys about it, where I was doing that every day. I was like sitting down and like picking a prompt out of a book I had and writing 1,000 words on it. And I've never felt more creatively fulfilled. And then something happened in life-wise I don't know what it was, but I just stopped.
I mean, you can just physically fall into just a slum, like a mental slum. I'm in there right now with my own hobbies.
But I think like taking myself to task, like I need to exercise a little bit more diligence with that than I have in the past. Because I do think, to give myself some credit, like I think I do have some ideas that are very good. And I think that I am capable of something, but I am my own worst enemy in terms of perfectionism and wanting things to be just so. And that's the guy that I'm fighting. So that's the very long-winded answer to your question. I'll turn it over to Nerd Bomber to give her answer. And I do want to hear yours as well, Tactic.
I feel like I constantly have a lot of irons in the fire, and in terms of like creative pursuits and hobbies, and I feel like that never really stopped even, and I'll give you your flowers again, Tactic, by taking the editing off my hands, which was about, I don't know, halfway through the run of this podcast. It was a huge boon for me by means of just being able to do other things, because especially in the early days of editing, like there was a lot of stuff that I automated when I handed it over. And the first 4 years of editing, man, Wednesday mornings, I was running on like 3 hours of sleep. Not that much has changed because I'm an insomniac, but like it was like a forced 3 hours that was like painful. But now like I'm actively learning how to play the bass guitar. I just bought a second one, which is a little bit of a problem because I don't really have anywhere to put it, but I'm having a blast with that. So I'm hoping to get better at that. Trying to get more into like playing games for fun again. And I'm not going to say that the podcast stopped me from playing games for fun, but like
I totally get that though.
I don't have to worry about trying to keep up with the latest stuff. Like I started, and I've talked about this on the show already, but like playing Expedition 33, like I'm a year behind, but now I'm just kind of doing it with no agenda. Like I don't have to worry about, oh, I'm talking about this for the 4th week in a row. I don't have anything new to talk about. But
you
also
get hung up on the day one buy comments.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't have to worry about that, which is great. And also like writing, I also am writing a bit. And I will say Tactic and Illegal both. Like Tactic has found his community online with game dev and finding people to kind of keep you accountable. Illegal also, like if you just find strangers on the internet, people are super hype and supportive. And I am not going to reveal what I've been writing because honestly, it's a little low-key embarrassing, but I've like pumped out. It is not smut, but I've pumped out like 500,000 words of writing in the last like year. And a lot of that has to do with strangers on the internet being super nice. So like, that's a huge, like, it kind of sounds weird, but if you can find a little niche or community of people to keep you accountable, like, that's huge. And also, I'm going to watch a lot of hockey because I'm fucking obsessed with women's hockey.
Yeah, the community thing is for sure. Like, I a couple times I've never done it, but what the heck is the there's a month of the year where everyone writes a novel?
Yeah, it's like November. The actual organization is dead now, I believe, but the entire like idea of writing a novel in a month, I think there's still a lot of online communities around that. And honestly, important distinction. So like I've tried to do that with people I know in the past. Nope.
No,
gotta find strangers. Yep. Gotta have a completely unknown screen name. Nobody knows it's you. Right into the dark.
Oh, I disagree. I found community in my area with like through Meetup, and it's nice to see that, you know, it's not obscure person 92 on the internet that's going through the same trials and tribulations. It's nice to see that there's people in your hometown that are kind of coming across the same problems that you have, or maybe seen the same issue and know how to overcome it.
I feel like it's a little different for writing. Like game dev, I feel like at the end of the day, like there's bugs and code and stuff that you can talk about that doesn't necessarily feel like it's revealing your inner thoughts and feelings.
Well, it's also, I think what you're saying, Nerd Bomber, is like, don't go to a friend you've had for, 10 years and be like, I'm writing a novel. Let's be accountable to each other and let's share all of our work. I think that's different because like, I have often thought, if I were to write something long form, I think it's virtually assured that at least one character would draw influence from people in my life. And like, whether it's flattering or not, I would have a very hard time, laying that bare to someone. I've thought about that a lot as someone who has never been in that situation. Like, I've thought about writing short form stuff. I've thought about starting a blog again and just like, writing movie reviews every week, and like people don't know that I'm even doing it. I wouldn't Yeah. I used to have a movie blog called Tuesdays with Corey. It's probably still up if you want to go find it. I legitimately don't know if it is, but like I would do it in a different way this time. I would not even let anyone in my life know that it's happening, and just it would be either just a journal for me basically, or someone could read it every now and again and provide some thoughts. So I get what you mean entirely, Nerd Bomber. And like having a community is important, but it also has to be a specific kind of community, I guess I will say.
Be honest. Am I the goofy, witty, like side character in both of your stories?
You have borne influence, certainly,
yes!
in characters that I have written before. Like it, and I should say, like, quick shout out again we're just drowning you in flowers at this point, but like,
I'm blushing.
In terms of people in my life who cheerlead on my behalf without knowing anything about the product that I am looking to create. Tactic, you are right up there, like almost aggressively so.
Yes.
Like almost in a
my
scary
goal,
way.
ride or
like,
die. We fight.
It's not even a ride or die thing. It's like
just straight ride.
If you don't pursue your hobby, I'll kill you. Like it's sometimes it's that kind of energy.
I believe
like,
in you.
You want
like,
it
so much.
You want it very badly for me, and you believe in me, and I've always appreciated that, and I always will. So like I wanted to shout that out, and I think it's very beautiful that you just asked me and Nerd Bomber this question, because I imagine you're the same way with her. And
I am the biggest fan.
It is so you to ask that, I guess,
of the Renaissance period in human history. It is on record when humans had the most downtime and concurrently made some of the most beautiful works of art. We as a species are capable of so much just beauty and impressive feats, but life just grinds us down. And I want to be the voice that objects against that, if possible.
Yeah, and I'm the person who needs to hear those kinds of things, by the way, because I'm the one being ground a lot of the time, and that's I'm just as much a function of me as it is of the world. Like I don't want to
Oh, you're not alone.
Issue any sort of I want to take some degree of accountability for it, I guess is what I'm saying. But like it's very important to have those sorts of figures in your life, the people who are like, hey, you should go do that thing. Who cares what comes out of it? The fact that you are doing it is the important thing. And I don't know if you've ever put it in those words exactly, but like it's that message has been the one that has come across, in addition to, hey, do this thing or I'll kill you. I felt in physical danger.
Like he is aggressive. So like I have mentioned that I've gotten really into like watching PWHL hockey to the point where he was like hounding me for basically up until like last week when I was like, bro, you gotta stop. He was hounding me to join a learn to skate program, and he was like,
Dude,
this could be
hockey.
you. Like you could do it. And I was like, I think that ship has sailed.
Plus hockey chicks are hot, let's be honest.
I mean, fair, but like I feel like that ship has sailed, that I don't have it in me to make that a professional career, but the support was so touching. But yeah, he was getting pretty aggressive.
Yeah,
it's selfish, though. That one's selfish. Like I said, I've said this before on the cast. I very much would like a muscle mommy. So this is.
Well, I was going to say the listeners need to wife this guy up. He's a catch. I say this.
I'm married.
You are very clearly married.
I'm just trying to.
I guess we should make that clear. If anyone listening didn't know, Nerd Bomber and Tactic, they've been married. I guess not this whole time.
Most of it.
For a good chunk of the time, and they were together the whole time.
Actually, that was the only time the show ever took a break. Was when we collectively got married.
I've only missed
we did also
2 shows
get married
in its tenure.
Like back to back, almost like it was planned.
We got married very close together.
Yeah.
Did we get married in the same year?
I think
it was the same month.
Yeah.
It was the same. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
No, they're August.
But it was like 2 weeks apart. Like the time span was within a month. Yeah.
Yep. And it was awesome. And yeah, we just took a collective hiatus. So anyways, yeah, that Tactic, thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem.
That was a beautiful question, and it gave me the opportunity to thank you for all the support.
I will say what I'm going to pivot it to, and that is just going to keep going full steam into game dev. I'm getting pretty close to like starting the marketing and posting the Steam page, but like I was showing Nerd Bomber some of the characters, and I guess I didn't see it until like now.
One is
but
a
they're
straight up penis.
They look like penises.
And then can I blow up your spot a little bit? And then when they get close together, they fuse into an even taller.
Yeah, I
penis.
thought I made a cool mechanic where these two like worm things, and if they bump into each other, so the mechanic is
like he gave them heads.
Well, because they have faces.
No, but like there's a pivot point. Like it looks very phallic.
So if you're familiar with Blender, you put bones inside of your 3D model.
Do.
And the bones deform the weights to like make it move the way you want. And so when you're moving the head, it added creases just under the jaw, which gave it literally like the penis of a head look when it's moving. And it's always moving, so it always looks like it has a penis of the head. And I just saw this, my innocent brain of like, look at these little guys, and then they fuse, because it's a really cool mechanic. And like the coding behind it is actually kind of interesting, because they're not actually fusing. When they come together, the two individual game objects get destroyed, and a new like two stacked game object gets populated in that area, but it happens so quickly it looks just nice and fluid.
Why am I not looking at a picture of these penises?
Because I need to remodel.
Why is it taking this long?
Like I didn't, again, because I was so hung up on like how cool the way it looks was, that I didn't actually see the way it looks, and so that's why I'm kind of like, maybe I need to pump the brakes on a lot of my character models and make them less phallic, and more like cute creatures.
Well, or just lean into it, and then the whole game's about penises. Consider that pivot.
No, because there's ball-shaped things too, and then it's just...
Well, it sounds like a unified message to me.
No.
But I'll let you cook on that.
No.
You're the developer, not me.
But yeah, I mean, the goal is to try to get that at least to market, because I've already got a concept for a new game involving some less creative characters, more just regular run-of-the-mill animals, and just a story around them. And I feel like that makes the creative process easier, because the inspiration for what a cat looks like is pretty much everywhere. So
it's kind of just looking at a cat.
Yeah. So that's what I think I'm just gonna keep trying to pump out games as long as I can. I feel like the first game was a really good foundation on how to make a 3D platformer, and if I kind of stay in that lane, I could just keep filling the market with 3D platformers that I've always wanted to make. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, indie development is really, really hard and really, really lonely. So if anyone wants to do a collab with me on the next game, I'm really happy to boost up the team, because at the end of the day, everyone just wants to create something and put their name out there. So if anyone has any indie dev experience or Blender experience and wants to team up, let's chat. DM me. I am at Tectic on Blue Sky.
Blue Ski. Yeah, I mean, I do intend to keep my Blue Ski account active, in the sense that it's not super active at all, but it's there. So if folks want to reach out and chat, I'm there.
Do you chat back?
I'm certainly capable of it. If and when something else occurs in my creative life that I deem worthy of sharing, it will likely make its way there in some respect. But I could not say, nor could I promise when that will be. And I doubt that folks are like out there clamoring for it anyways. But that's just my 2 cents. So.
Oh, and one more shout out. By the way, the game will be called Uvi, if I haven't mentioned that before. That's what it's going to be called.
Uvi.
All right. Before we wrap this up,
please,
for posterity's sake, one last, what are you up to Wednesday?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Hell yeah.
But Tactic, you got to sing it.
What are you up to Wednesday? So what are you guys up to?
Never got a tag put on. Like, we have a theme song. We have all this stuff. Never got we could have had a band do that. We could have gone on Fiverr and write, what are you up to?
Bro,
Wednesday?
I play the bass guitar now, and you sing, and Tactic drums. So we could just turn this whole little shindig into a band. That's all I'm saying.
and write tags and theme songs for other podcasts.
We could take that honey advertising experience and turn it into jingle writing.
Into cold hard cash.
Yeah.
Well, okay. What are you up to Wednesday? I don't want to go first. I don't know why I opened my mouth.
All right.
Tech, why don't you go first? Or Nerd Bomber, either one.
No, give it to us, Tactic.
So I think I mentioned this on the last week's show, but I'm still playing through Kirby 64. The mechanic is my absolute favorite mechanic. You can combine powers, which has never been done again ever since this game was released, and it's a damn crime. It should be. And I really want Nintendo to like get their shit together and do that. So if I mentioned this before, I'm sorry, I'm mentioning it again. And please play this game because it is a gem, and it is a hidden gem because it's old now. The other thing that I want to mention that I really want to put some time on is we watched Freakier Friday.
This is actually quite good.
This was better than the original.
We literally watched this.
This is, I think, is a bold take because I think the original is well cherished. This was better. This was far better.
It's really bringing me back, the fact that I'm currently typing into Rotten Tomatoes just to see what scores it got. But go on.
Because it spans across now what is 3 generations, it gives the full spectrum of like relatability between like what is senior citizen or boomer, and then millennial, Gen Xer, and then Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and it makes it a really interesting dynamic. And I also like the way that they kind of switched up the characters to who to what so that it didn't seem creepy or weird. I'm just overall very pleased with this. And then the humor was not corny. It was actually legitimately funny. They just did a really good job, and they didn't lean too much on the humor from the original, but had a lot more just subtle winks to it, such that it wasn't like just trying to hang its coat on the success of the original. It was good enough to just be a standalone, and I love that for them. They did a really good job on this movie, and I 10 out of 10 recommend it.
Now, we did talk about this movie on the show. I'm like 99% sure when the trailer came out, we talked about it.
Also,
I'll
Jamie
probably
Lee
wind up
Curtis,
saying some of the same things. Yeah, well, she can get it. I'll probably wind up saying some of the same things without having seen it that I said at the time, which is just that I'm so happy for, in particular, the two of them. Because, like, even in the trailer, it came across that they were super happy to be doing it again. It is a full circle moment for Lindsay Lohan, for sure. And it seems like she had and is having a good time. So it's well reviewed. I did look it up while you were talking.
What was the tomato meter?
I don't know if it's 74% certified fresh.
That's
a crime. It should be better.
91% audience.
Audience knows what's up.
You guys are big audience score fans.
Yeah, fuck the critics.
They don't know shit.
Well, in that, let that be a segue. Nerd Bomber, I'm going to swoop in here because I want to talk about a movie. Before I even talk about the movie that I saw, everyone shut up about Marty Supreme. I'm not going to watch Marty Supreme. I don't want to watch Marty Supreme.
The advertising for it is pretty damn good, though, I will say.
We talked about the trailer, didn't we? When that came out originally?
No, but like,
boy,
the advertising that like he's been doing on his own to promote his movie has been kind of funny.
You cannot for the life of me make me care about a ping pong guy. Like, I like ping pong, it's fine. You can't make me care about a ping pong guy. This movie doesn't need to exist. It just doesn't. It's getting good reviews.
They're stretching for biopics on literally anything and everything.
I mean, after the success of the Texas movie, the Blackberry movie, it makes sense that this is coming out.
Well, and Timmy C, he's like you said, he's doing a lot of pub for this movie, and he's like saying like, this is the movie that I've like wanted to make for you. It's like, what? You wanted to make this movie for years? You made Dune. Like, this is the one you were so excited about? What's your deal, man? It grinds my gears a little bit. Anyways, I watched Hamnet. Are you guys familiar with Hamnet?
I am vaguely familiar.
That is actually the name of the movie. Hamnet is a movie that, well, I don't know. Maybe this is unfair. It almost seems like it's trying to make you think that it's based on like true factual historical events. It absolutely is not. It's a movie about Billy Shakespeare and his wife, and they have a child who dies of ostensibly the plague. The child actually does die in real life, but it's not known how he died. In the movie, I believe it is the plague. And how it inspires Billy Shakespeare to go on and write Hamlet, which is a different name, but almost the same. Hence, people thinking that it may be about his son. This is all unsubstantiated. It's got Paul Mescal in it as Billy Shakespeare.
Gladiator.
Who, honestly, he was just okay. Jesse Buckley, kind of amazing. I don't know if you guys know who Jessie Buckley is or what she's about. She's a great actress. She was the best part of the movie by far. I would say the movie, even though it has sterling reviews and like is going to win a bunch of Oscars, was like pretty mid. Like it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen.
She's been in.
She hasn't done a whole lot,
Yeah,
but I think she's like on the up and up. She did, or she's doing the new Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein movie. She did an A24 movie at some point called Men, which was about men.
That sounds very.
She was also in I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I saw and was also kind of mid, but she was great in it. That's like kind of the common theme. I feel like she's not very good at picking projects, but she's a great actress. So I watched that. That was fine. But also the main thing I wanted to say is that I'm playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. And I was telling these guys before we got on the air that it's amazing. It makes me frustrated at myself and my inability to skate, but in a good way. So if you're thinking about it, I would recommend it. It's basically the same exact experience as the 1 and 2 remaster. So if you liked that, you will definitely like this. And you should go pick it up. So we'll wrap things up with Nerd Bomber on the What Are You Up To train. Over to you.
All right. So the biggest thing, I'm still playing Expedition 33. I am nearing the end of that game, and it's great as per usual. But I really want to talk about the fact that I watched Heated Rivalry. And I don't know, Illegal, if you are familiar with this. I'm assuming
I have
yes?
to be because of my wife.
Okay.
It's the only
Are you watching it? Are you actively watching it?
I have not watched any of it.
Really?
But I will tell you that on Christmas night
at midnight,
I was laying in bed. Yeah, I was laying in bed and I was like, I'm going to bed, and my wife was like, I can't.
You got to go to the cottage.
And I was like, why aren't you going to bed? She's like, because Heated Rivalry's coming out. She is obsessed, and I think like also it's kind of the world is like it's really good from what I've heard. I'm sure it is good.
It is super good. It is. I will say the first couple episodes, especially if you're not into watching, mature action on your television shows, there's a lot of stuff like you don't see
penis wise.
You don't see penis, but it's implied penis. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of naked bodies. So like the first couple episodes,
thrusting?
There's definitely thrusting for sure.
Definite thrusting
yes.
confirmed. All right.
But I will say that it is probably one of the first shows in a while where they actually like. I feel like the first episode, the sex scenes are used a lot just for what they are, sex scenes.
Just
but
sex-wise, yeah.
As the show progresses, the sex scenes are actually used as like a narrative to show how the relationship between the characters is progressing. And I feel like a lot of shows don't do that anymore. Like it's just kind of sex scenes are in there just for, I don't want to say shock value, but just to say like, hey, we have a sex scene.
Yeah, whereas like can.
It's done very intentionally in the show. And it's very good. If you like hockey, you should watch it. If you don't like hockey, if you just like character studies and relationship studies, you should watch it. I feel like it's very important television too in today's day and age. I don't know. Definitely. It just tells a really great story, and you should give it a shout.
Funded by the Canadian government.
It is indeed.
Did not know that.
Well, actually, so it was honestly, it's a Crave TV original, which is a Canadian channel. Mm-hmm. It's actually, I believe, Jacob Tierney, the guy who created the show. He also is behind Letterkenny and Shoresy. Yes, which very different shows, completely different shows. Still like very hockey related, but like in terms of the tone and content, very different styles of TV shows. But yeah, it was partially funded by the taxpayers of Canada, and HBO Max literally picked it up at like the last minute. And
so did the taxpayers get a refund? Curious.
Well, and no, as a result,
I don't think the taxpayers got a refund, but yeah, like it's everywhere because HBO picked it up.
Hell yeah.
And as a result, now there's, old white dudes in boardrooms across America being like, we need to make the next gay hockey show. We need to do it right now. Like it's such a good thing for media. The fact that this show blew up and like has such cultural cachet and like also should mention it's based on books. So you can go get the books and read the books. My wife's also done that. I would also say, having not watched the show myself, I have seen some interview footage of the dudes. I unfortunately don't know their names right now. One of them is Connor Story. I don't know the other guy's name.
Hudson. What I will say, last name.
That the Hudson is the guy that looks like Keanu Reeves, and the other guy's the guy that doesn't, I believe.
Right.
What I will say is that the guy who is Russian in the show.
Oh my God, incredible acting. Because he is not anywhere close to Russian in
He's
real life.
not?
No.
Pretty unreal.
They said a week before the show, I was watching an interview and he was like, he basically got the gig and then for 1 week and then throughout the entirety of the show was given intensive Russian dialect lessons. And like there's an entire scene where he is rattling off just Russian. And unless you have subtitles, you have no idea what is going on because he's just speaking in Russian. And people on the internet are saying like it is fluent, accurate Russian.
Yeah.
So he is like when you even listen to the way his voice is in the show versus like his interviews, amazing acting job.
Is he also gay in
and
real
on
life
top
or
of
no?
that,
Honestly, I don't know. They can't ask that when they
I don't
cast
know either.
characters. So like, who knows?
I was gonna say just on top of the acting skill, both of them seem just like very genuinely nice people. At least in these interviews, the interviews are fun to watch. So shout out to those guys. Shout out to the whole show. Yeah, I mean, there's a very decent chance I'll watch it at some point. I haven't yet though.
Only 6 episodes. Granted, they're like 45 minutes, but I'm sure your wife, I know her, she will watch it again with you.
She's already rewatched it
So
a few times.
get in there for a third time.
I want to be as clear as possible that I don't think she would have any issue with me saying that she is obsessed with this show. So
it's one of those things where I'm not saying there's not a lot of positive media lately, but like it's definitely one of those
it's like
shows.
a Ted Lasso thing, you think?
Yeah, kind of. Like you just feel very good about it. Like there's obviously aspects of the show that you feel very bad about, but it is at its heart a like rom-com type show and romance stuff, you know it's going to have a happy ending. It's not going to steer you wrong. Not to spoil it, but
and I'm going to spoil it too because I'm going to kind of double down on that. Like one of the things that I've heard, because my wife's had conversations with a lot of our friends about it, and I've been party to those conversations. Like I think one of the things that people are finding refreshing about it is that, in particular, in today's day and age, for obvious reasons, a lot of LGBT focused media does not have a happy ending, nor a happy middle, nor a happy beginning. Like it's just, there's a lot of just like, it's crushing to watch some of it. And numerous shows have been cited to that. And I think there's a show called Fellow Travelers that's, focused in that area and is very, very dark. So like, I think what you're saying about like to say like the Ted Lasso of it all is probably right on, of like, it is a joyfully positive in most respects show. Mm-hmm. And I think that serves as a change of pace.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
But it's positive, but it also shines a light on like the hiding, right? So
well,
it's
the NHL, this goes to show, I guess, where we lean in terms of like social things. But as someone who's a huge hockey fan, it is startling in a really bad way that the NHL is one of the only major sports leagues across the board that has no openly gay players. And like statistically, that is impossible. There must be some.
Yeah. And it's funny too, like it's kind of the Taylor Swift effect with the NFL, right? Where like this show came out, I don't have the numbers, nor have I looked into the numbers, but I have to imagine that since the show came out, the general popularity of the NHL has gone through the roof because there are people who are like, hey, I'm interested in hockey now. And like you're seeing teams tweet about it and like the league is leaning into it, which I think is good. But like it's all very interesting because like they're just getting a huge influx of new fans now, and they have to like not fumble that. They like, I think the NHL,
and they have historically,
from the outside looking in, correct me if this is wrong,
they've
like
historically
they
fumbled
fumble.
it. Yeah, they've like canceled Pride nights and they banned, I think, Pride jerseys and Pride tape and all that kind of stuff. I think Pride nights are coming back, but like they can't wear Pride jerseys during Pride. It's very confusing. They've fumbled it in the past, so like they have to handle this with. They have
a crazy opportunity here, and they have to not blow it. And if there's like one smart person in the room, they won't.
Which debatable, but
yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess my point is like right now they're getting that influx of fandom whether they want it or not, and it's just the question now of like, do you want to keep some of those fans? Because if you do, maybe like don't make decisions like that. And then it's, kind of for them to decide, right?
But also, I will stump for the PWHL who's accepting of all. Go support women's hockey. Woo! Not quite the same, but there's a bunch of lesbians in the PWHL, so like, ally.
It is super interesting, again, from the outside looking in, but both not really as a huge hockey fan and also having not watched the show, just like those two things kind of crashing into each other it's very interesting. I think overall it's hugely positive.
It is.
And it's just kind of like, hey, let's see what the NHL does with this, because there's a couple different ways they could go. I am confident they will like not fumble the bag this time, but I guess we'll see.
And even if they fumble it this season, the show got renewed for 2 more, so they have more shots.
Yeah, they do. And like I said, there's boardrooms across the country, or at least across Hollywood, where someone's being like, we need another sports show where 2 dudes kiss and we need it right now. Which again, I think is a good thing. But it's like, I wonder what that will produce. Let me put it that way.
A lot of mediocre shows. Because they're just going to try to beat it. But it's never going to... It's like lightning in a bottle, I think, with any show, regardless of what the plot is.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right.
Goes back to the YouTube videos.
Well, that was what we've been up to, I guess. And that's what we will be up to for the rest of time, because that was the last one. So I have to play Tony Hawk forever. So be it.
We're going to keep rewatching that show.
Not a horrible way. I mean, I will rewatch things ad nauseum.
Yeah, we've doomed ourselves to these fates.
On that note.
And with that...
Yeah.
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know how to end it.
Well,
I'll let you guys figure that out.
I'll wrap. So with that,
please.
We wish you all a fond farewell. This isn't goodbye. You'll see us again in other platforms, in other hobbies. We are going to make ourselves known somewhere, some way on the internet, maybe even on the Hollywood Boulevard. Who's to say?
The Hollywood Boulevard.
Who's to say?
I think it's possible.
But in the meantime, stay safe and keep on podcasting, except for us.
Yeah, thank you all for an incredible 8 years, and thank both of you for an awesome 8 years as well.
Pleasure was all mine.
Bye!
Today's episode is brought to you by Honey. There's an old saying, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, but you can also catch a lot of podcasters with honey.
These days, honey isn't just that sweet treat that makes mustard better for dipping chicken. It's also a way for all of us to save a bunch of money by shopping online.
The internet is like a vast field of flowers. Honey scours that field like a busy little bee to gather those sweet pollinator coupons to save you money and get that sweet, sweet honey. All you have to do is download a simple little browser add-on and you are set to save.
Honey works with over 30,000 participating online merchants, gathering promo and coupon codes from the vast reaches of cyberspace to save its user base more than $1 billion. That's billion with a B, and counting. The average user gets a 17.92% discount on their purchases and saves $126 a year.
Guys, that's enough money to buy 16.5 pounds of honey at average retail price.
And that's even before you check Honey for more discounts.
Just imagine all you could do with 16.5 pounds of honey.
The world's stickiest water slide.
Gross. I'd prefer a waterbed filled with honey.
Would honey be more comfortable to lay on than water? Also, what size mattress would you be able to fill with 16.5 pounds? And also, whatever happened to waterbeds?
Lots of questions, very few answers.
Anyway, Honey is also doing more than saving people money online. It's using its platform as an online retail giant to give back to up-and-coming podcasters like us.
We're recording this ad for their Sponsor Me Honey contest, which is providing us and countless other podcasters with an exciting opportunity to expand via a direct infusion of some sweet, sweet cash.
With over 17 million members already reaping the benefits of honey, you can be the next to join their ranks. And the best part is, you can get on this action for free.
All you need to do is head over to joinhoney.com/besthoneyad to join the party with the rest of us busy bees. That's joinhoney.com/besthoneyad.
Thanks again to Honey for this opportunity, and now back to the episode.